Welcome to the Purpose Chasers podcast, where those who refuse to let odds or naysayers stand in their way come to chase and catch their true calling. I'm your host, Mark Crandall. In each episode, we shine a spotlight on artists and musicians who dare to dream bigger. You'll hear the real-world tactical moves these Purpose Chasers have taken to carve out their legacies, and I'll break down the marketing strategies you can swipe and implement today. Let's dive in and start chasing our purpose. Don't forget to leave a follow on Spotify or wherever you stream from. Let's dive into this episode. Welcome back, Purpose Chasers, to this episode of the Purpose Chasers podcast. I am very, very humble and excited. So I have talked about this woman who is with me this morning several times on the podcast throughout the 2 years that I've been doing this little heart project, if you will, building the Purpose Chasers community. And I met Casey. Surprise, Casey is interviewing on the podcast. Or not even interviewing. I don't want to do an interview. I want to do a conversation. But I met Casey in Austin, Texas, in a seminar that I was attending, a transformational workshop. And at the time, I was pretty obsessed with transformational workshops and personal development. So I was in I think 2 different masterminds. I had 3 coaches. I was just looking. Here's what I was looking for. I was looking for an opportunity to overcome the fear in my own head. I already knew what I had been called to do, but I couldn't seem to get out of my own way. And I have to give a disclaimer. I'm going to get emotional during this interview. Just want to put that out there because this woman had a conversation with me on my porch in Austin, and I talked to her over the phone. And she talked to me for about an hour and a half. And the other side of that conversation was me resigning from my job as a therapist, writing my first book, launching this podcast, and doing all the things that I'm doing today. And this conversation is the foundation, or will be the foundation, for everything that I will create in the future. Casey, I know I tried to acknowledge you at this speaking event that we did in Houston. But I really wanted to bring you on the podcast to truly acknowledge you, because the time that you gave me on that call was greater than any experience I had had. And the terminology from the workshop that we were attending, or the family, what I consider it my family, but the workshop that we were attending, is you were with me and you took a stand for me. And I'm just so grateful for you. And I had no idea. And so when I say take a stand, I want to explain this a little bit to you, Purpose Chasers. She was in my ass. Like every time I was justifying or defending, she just held a mirror for me. And every time I was my normal limiting beliefs, or my normal thoughts about myself and my reaction to life, she just kept cornering it and cornering it and cornering it. And the end result of that conversation, there was nothing left for me to do but to create what I've set out to create. And what an amazing journey this has become for me. I mean, I had no idea that I was an entrepreneur. I had no idea that I was just waiting for somebody like yourself to co-sign or believe in me to go create. And I mean, we were talking about it before I hit record, like the stuff that I'm creating right now, it literally blows my mind.
Yeah.
So Casey, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I'm very, very excited to have you here.
Mark, me too. It's really great to be with you. And, when I see everything you're creating and then everything you just shared, I'm so moved. But yeah, it really is about being a stand for people. And, that is, I would say that's who I am for people wherever I am. Whether it's business or my family, it's not buying into people's crap that they have about themselves. And really, as a leader, to listen to people as what's possible and not what their past says that they are, or who they think that they are from their past or their circumstances, which I know that's a lot of the work you do. So just, I got your acknowledgement, and no, thank you. Absolutely.
So let's dive into that, because you said take a stand for people to not buy into what they are telling themselves that they are as a result of their past. And I believe, based off my experience when I met you, and I have to state, like, full disclosure, Casey's very humble, but she's got this like Nicki Minaj ego inside as well, which I'm hoping comes out on this podcast. There are so many individuals in the world, and that were exactly where I was in that moment. And where I was in that moment was knowing that my past didn't define me, but I didn't actually have the proof to disprove my mind that my past didn't define me. Right. So I know I've been to so many seminars and so many workshops, and like hundreds of thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours of time. Right.
Yeah.
And there are people that are just like rinse and repeat. They're at the next thing and they're at the next thing. And the only thing that I found was in that moment on the other side of that call, which I had been before. I had been to the same place that we had arrived in that call.
Uh-huh.
Only difference was that there was accountability put in place. And I knew that if I didn't take the actions, you were going to be calling me and I would have to ignore you or block you, or but it would never go away. So I was faced with the fact that the only way to disprove my mind was to take action. So Casey, the question that I want to ask you is, when did you arrive at that place?
Yeah, I got it. Yes. Great. So when there was a moment, okay, look, who I am is someone, and I think a lot of human beings are there. It's like you have something in you that wants to be expressed in the world. Something, it's like there, and it's like this fire in you, and you're like, how do I get it out? And it's almost like, miserable, because you have, you have so much to offer, but then there's, like you said, there's these limitations that somehow you don't even know what the limitations are. They're blind spots, right? And so then you go, I went through life just trying, in search of something, trying to be better, and very sincere, great person, making a difference, and just loving people, but there was something missing. Okay, regardless of all the work, what you said, like I've been doing. And there was this moment where in 2012, where it just literally all came together. I can't explain how it happened. It was an experience in a 3.5-day seminar I did. And it was like everything that I had been looking for or in search of, or what I saw that it actually was, is I had the opportunity to see the limitations for what they were. And in seeing all that, there was the experience of being connected to that part of me which wanted to be expressed. I don't know how else to say it, but I got connected to me and who I really was, not whatever was living my life. It was like something got freed up, like compelled, like the expression of it. So that was in March of 2012 where that alteration happened for me. And then I just continued to do the work and practice. Look, for me, it's all about the practice. I just don't stop practicing. Whatever there is to practice that gives me that access to me and who I am, really. And it's not easy. Like, it's just not easy. You know that, Mark. It's just not easy. So, but it also takes me continuing to be fed up with how it's already going. You know, it really does. It takes you got to be fed up, or you're just going to keep going through life how you're going. So there is a point where I create being fed up with how it's going, which gives me the opportunity to create something else to go for it. You know, and people can call that like, you know, this awakening that happens, or I don't know, enlightenment, blah, blah, like that. And something I've discovered for myself when I think about, like waking up or being enlightened, like it sounds like it should be this flowery, like beautiful experience like that. For me, like waking up is like being knocked on the ground and kicked around. And that for me is waking up. So, and it's uncomfortable. So I'm now like in a place where being comfortable is actually uncomfortable for me. Does that make sense?
Totally. And what comes to me when you say that is there are so many humans on earth that are woke, if you will. We'll use a hip hop term. Woke. So many individuals that have woken up or are awake.
Yeah.
And are trying to fall back asleep because it's so much easier to go back to the way that things were.
Yeah.
Than to take actions to move forward, which are super, super uncomfortable. If you think about like, you know, the teachings of the Buddha or the teachings of Christ, like both, which are two of my homies, right?
Uh-huh.
Both of them like got woke, but then on the other side of that, they took actions to go share and to stay and to get, you know, in the process of like, in the process of transformation.
Yeah.
Right. Like, Warner's quote, my favorite quote, is like, you know, transformation is a mountain with no top.
Oh yeah.
Or, you know, it's just, or you get your teeth absolutely kicked in, and like, it's the most, it's like, I'm stumbling over my words. It's the greatest thing ever because there's levels to this shit, as Drake says it. I don't know why I'm quoting hip hop artists today.
It's me. I get it. But yeah, you know, Mark, it is a continual like phenomenon, transformation. And you know, what did you say? People wake up and then it gets uncomfortable. And it absolutely is. But you know, and I want to point to, well, whenever you get to a place where there's actually there's like space for you, there's nothing there, you can see everything for what it is, there's literally in that moment nothing to grab onto. So it's scary for people. It's like uncertain. It's, you know, I don't know. And when, you know, that is, while it's a very high place, high state to be, it's very uncomfortable for people. So then what people will do is they'll just grab onto something familiar, which is from the past. Usually, mostly, they'll grab onto something from the past and then it's back into that, however it was, is what I see. So it really takes like a willingness and a courage to hang out in that uncertainty and, you know, I don't know, but it's not an uncertainty and I don't know that's not empowering or disempowering. It is the most freeing and empowering place. And if you allow yourself to hang out there, then there's the opportunity to really create what's next. And then, like you said, be in action and taking actions that aligns with whatever you said and whatever you create. Because another thing, Warner says is, if you look, action is the only thing that moves life. Action. It's not, who cares if you think about it or you have a great idea about it, or, you really, really are committed and intended. Who cares? If you're not taking actions, then you're no new results. And it really is that simple in reality if you do the work to look for yourself. So
it seems like recently I've been talking about COVID-19, even though I made plans in my head to not discuss it, but it's really something that we're going to be discussing for hundreds of years because, I don't think anyone in generations past have experienced what we're experiencing now. But if you look at the experience that we're having, and I view it like this, right? So everything has been stripped from us that was comfortable and certain and in our, so everything has been stripped and we're in our homes. So now the only things that we have are within our homes to reach out to. So we can't go to the grocery store. We can't go to concerts or sporting events or go out partying with our friends, or we're not supposed to be. Some people are, right? We won't get into that. And so the thing that I find entertaining or intriguing, if you will, maybe not entertaining, but intriguing, is everyone, I won't say everyone, the media is trying very, very hard to make predictions. And the only place that they have to go to make predictions are what happened in the past, right? So they're pulling what happened in the past and the outcomes from the past into what's going on right now, as to what's going to happen on the other side of this, but nobody really knows. And I look at like my mother-in-law, and she's watching CNN nonstop, right? And like, we can't. Megan and I, we made an agreement that there's going to be no news in our house. So we're in the dark. Like, we don't know. I know that we're going to know when the world opens back up, right? But like, we're really enjoying the time that we're spending at home and the time that we get to spend with our son. But I just found it very entertaining, and it really clicked for me when you said that, as I'm thinking about everything that's going on in the media, because I have a digital marketing company, so I spend a lot of time online, so I'm very present to what's going on there. They just keep grabbing from the past to try to create some kind of resolve or answering of the riddle in the present. And I think, based off what you said, that's what we as humans do. I want to know more about you. And I know my audience wants to know more about you.
Okay. Can I say one thing about that, what you just said, though?
I know you well enough to know you're going to say it whether or not I give you permission. Yeah. So go ahead.
Just like so I wanted to be clear, like, it works to have the past shed light on, where you are and to create a future, but not have your past determine, shape, and color your future. So does that make sense?
It totally does. And I think of this joke, right, which I have with some of my friends that are also in recovery from addictions. And the joke is, oh, so you've been locked down in your house for 5 weeks, right? So my joke is, imagine doing 7 years.
Oh, God.
Right? It's like, you can't handle 5 weeks. Imagine doing 7 years. And I have, like, it's a joke that I play with Megan. She's like, are you doing okay? I'm like, are you kidding me? This is the best lockdown I've ever had. I have my couch and I have internet and my bed's comfortable. So yeah, I really think life is literally, your outcome. I think do I want to do this? I do. I want to go here. And I didn't think I was going to, but I do. I don't believe that true transformation is possible outside of spiritual practices. I believe that you can only go so far without implementing spiritual practices. And I don't know what your thoughts or feelings are on diving into your own practices, but I do know that you have studied and have a practice. So you can either go into this or you can pass the buck.
No, we can go into it. I don't know where it's gonna go, but
That's great. That's perfect.
Look, so ask me again, what do you?
Yeah. So I talk often about this, right? So I believe that there's only so far that you can go with intellectual transformation. And intellectual transformation, I believe, takes place at venues or at the environment in which we met, right? Transformational workshops. And, if you go to some guru fest and you like have this experience, that's great. It's going to live while it's there. But as you go back out into the world, I view I sat quiet this morning. I'm doing a practice called two-way prayer, which is silent for 10 minutes. And then I journal what comes to me. And then I run it by, I run what comes to me by the four absolutes. Is it honest, pure, unselfish, and loving? And if it is, I take action on it that day. If it's not, then I continue to sit with it.
Yeah.
Once I've woken up intellectually, which I did, I believe I did with you, right? And there's a spiritual aspect and a heart aspect to that. But to go deeper and deeper and deeper in transformation, I don't believe that it's possible without involving the realm of the spiritual. And I believe that there's a lot of people out there today that are trying to sell intellectual transformation as if it's the truth and the light. But some of the deepest, I think about this, and we're just going to get into it. I'm going to throw Casey a softball. See if she hits it over. She'll hit it over the fence for sure. So one of the deepest transformational experiences that I've had thus far, it was day 6 of an 8-day silent meditation retreat. And we had just done a metta meditation, which is a loving kindness practice, which, opened me up like a window in the spring. Just to give you guys a little metaphor, a little Robert Frost. I was soft after. I was crying and just like mushy. And after this meditation, and they strip away your ability to express and justify and try to find answers through communication, whether verbal or nonverbal. So it's like, okay, I have this experience. I'm melting. I'm crying. I'm hoping that somebody just puts their arms around me and tells me it's going to be okay, but that doesn't happen. So I'm looking at the floor, and we go do chores, and then we go outside for, we go do walking meditation. And I went outside in the field. And what came up for me in this metta practice was the fact that I had been calling myself fat and shaming myself around my body image for years, right? Like, you're fat and you're gross, and I like this. I would never take my shirt off at the pool, or like all of these things, which may be uncomfortable for some of you because it's not normal for a man to talk about this, or a woman, really, right? I don't know. I can't speak for women, but it's not normal. Like, I'm just speaking for men, not to be sexist, but like, it's just not, men don't go, hey bro, do you take your shirt off at the pool? No, bro. No. I fat shame myself, right? So I'm out in the field and I'm walking, and these thoughts come to me as I'm doing this walking meditation, and I take my shirt off in the field. And then I took my shorts off, and I had boxers on, but and no one was in close proximity to me. And I remember the fear, the anxiety that came over me, and then it just all went away. And it was like, in that moment, I'm chasing that moment that nothing mattered. But I don't believe that individuals can continue to go deeper and deeper and deeper through intellectual transformation. So that's the softball that I want to throw at you. What does your practice look like? What are you involved in? Because you're very much like me.
Yeah, I got it.
That's why you're my sister from another mister. You're very much like me. You're chasing the cry. Like you're chasing the frustration because that's the good stuff.
Well, yeah, that's the access to all of it. Yeah. Well, okay. So for me, I before I started being in, can I just say like,
Yeah.
Landmark? Okay. Before I started participating in Landmark, I'm people, if people say they're like, she's a very spiritual person. Yes, absolutely. And the silent retreats, that is my practice, actually, the Vipassana practice. And I've always, I've practiced alongside, spent a lot of time with Buddhist monks. And, my background is, I studied Taoism and several different, even religions, like different religions, all of it. And one thing I've discovered, and you asked two questions. You asked what I do, and then having that intellectual transformation, like it goes to a certain point. You call it intellectual transformation. Now, for me, what has even expanded on my practices that I already had was Landmark. Like there's something that opened up for me spiritually, I call it spiritually, inside of the work and that, education. And I always continue that. And for me now, I don't have anything to say really about that you need that spiritual practice. But what I discover about people is that inside of them using the language to like access being connected to themselves, like for me, that's what spiritual means to me. It's like when you're connected to you and this in a way you've never experienced until it was present as a presence. And I have those experiences anytime. Like it's just, given all of the practices that I do in both, Landmark and spiritually, I am that you can have those experiences anytime that you want. And I don't know the answer to that really, but whatever it is that you're committed to and you do that work the way it's intended, like not mixing things, when I'm doing my spiritual work, I'm doing that work. If I'm doing Landmark, I'm doing that work. The way it's all designed in itself gives me access to me. So I am all for whatever it is that people discover that empowers them and gives them access to who they are. Whether it's, the seminars or in the practices that come with those, or it's their meditation practice, or it's going to be in the space of people that they want to be with that really opens something up for them. So I don't know if I've answered your question, but absolutely I have disciplines and practices that keep me grounded in and connected to what I'm here for on the planet.
So what I want is, I have never, how long have I known you?
2013 or no, wait, 2015.
15. Yeah, 15 is when I left my job.
Yeah.
I have never seen Casey methodically plan what she was about to say. I don't want to, I have never seen you give so much strategy to the words that were about to come out of your mouth.
Yeah. I was like, how can I be responsible for this? I don't know what's going to come out.
I totally want to poke and go further, but we're going to move beyond whatever was there that came up for Casey when I asked that question. But I think you said something in there that really, really made me think of this. And that is, you don't have to transform. You don't have to take actions, right? And I just did an episode on this, that there's no such thing as pressure or persuasion.
Yeah.
Right. And how oftentimes in transformational work, like I would give you credit for the breakthrough and all of that. And I feel like I don't get to take credit for it, but I do get to own the action that I took. Right? Because there's a decision that gets made.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to, or I'm not going to.
That's right.
Right? I'm going to, or I'm not going to. And it takes power to say I'm going to. And it also takes power for an individual like you to say you're going to. Right, let's go.
Yeah, you know what? It also takes power, I say, for someone to actually say I'm not going to. Just as equally. Like, to be straight about it.
Yeah, and that is in that episode that I'm sharing about, I talked about that as well, and how many times throughout my life I've said yes to things that if I had actually sat with them and evaluated the proposition, if you will, it didn't align with me or what I was doing at the time. So a no would have felt better. But I get so wrapped up in my head around what you are going to think of me if I say, no, Casey, at the time, like, I just don't have time to go all in on that or commit to that. Like, no, I can't do that right now.
Yeah.
So where do you want to go with the rest of this time we have together? I got another 20 minutes with you, according to the clock. Where do you want to go? Because I could keep poking and prodding, but let's do this. What are you up to in the world? Like,
Okay.
what are you doing? I want to know what is creating limiting beliefs in your own head. Like, what are you scared of right now?
Oh my gosh, I'll tell you. I'm scared of a romantic relationship. That's what I'm scared of. That's so funny. That's like right there. I look, it's great. I just discovered over the last couple of days, that's, I discovered this belief, or that's what you call them. Like, there's this conversation I have about myself that was like, is just it's in the background, like you don't even really know it's there because it's so a part of you, and it takes something to shed light on it and bring it to the foreground, and there was this question I was, inquiring into regarding, like, how, like, what is the way in which I view myself? Because the way in which I view myself, it gives me what's possible and not possible in my life. It gives me everything, the way I view myself. So I really started to look, and I was in a conversation with, a colleague, and okay, so then I was like, okay, we started looking like, well, how do people see me? And so, there are these words that came up, and then she asked me, well, okay, so how do you see yourself in the world? And I said, well, I started out with, like, well, I'm hardworking and all this, and you say all the, things that have you win, and then underneath, it's like I saw I'm someone in life trying to be okay. And we continued to talk, and then it hit me. I was like, holy shit. Who I am for myself is I'm not okay. Because someone trying to be okay is not okay. And that just hit. It was
Say that again. Say that again.
Yeah. So I saw who I was being in the world as someone who's trying to be okay, just be okay. And then it hit me. I was like, well, shit. Someone who's in life trying to be okay is someone who's not okay. Because then you wouldn't have to be trying to be okay. And that hit me. I was like, I'm not okay. It like, I just started crying. I was like, I'm not okay. My whole life has been given by a conversation called I'm not okay. Now look, I have a great life. Like being not being okay has had me be like determined, independent, like smart, like, driven, all of it to try to be okay. But it's also had me, be addicted to drugs at some points to be okay. It's all of it. It's whatever that gave me what was possible and not possible. And when I saw that limiting belief, I was in that we were talking about, that space of like uncomfortable and, okay, now I'm supposed to create something, but I can't because I don't believe it. How can I say anything? It's like it was so who I am. And then the perspective I brought to it was, wow, Casey, you've really mastered the conversation. I'm not okay. Like you're a master at it. You've mastered it for however many years, like 35 years that you've mastered it. So it's going to take practice and it's going to take something to create something new and then master that. And that gave me just a lot of freedom. And then it literally took me 2 days to even create anything, like a new conversation about myself. And so
how did that, let me go into this, because you're a wordsmith, girl. You are so good with language. I love you. I love it. So I got to share this before I ask this question. So when what was coming up for me when you were talking about that, the you mastering being okay or not being okay, I just think of you as like Superwoman. And you, let's say like the day that we met and we had lunch and you were in yoga pants and your workout gear, and like all of a sudden Casey goes to the phone booth and she comes out in a pantsuit. And as soon as she's got the pantsuit on, it's like boss chick, like, the hot, like I just kept thinking about that. Like you work in the room with the microphone. Anyway, I digress. So how did you become aware of the conversation of you not being okay as it relates to you being in an intimate relationship? Did you have it? You don't have to like unfold it. I just want to know, like, were you in one and that unfolded? Did one end and that unfolded?
No, actually I'm not I'm engaged in something, but I'm not in a relationship right now. But I looked at my past relationships out of seeing that, and I could then see, all the actions I took, how I, like the way I was in relationships, and you could say any relationship, but it was all to be okay. It wasn't for no reason. It wasn't for some commitment. Well, actually the commitment that I didn't know was to be okay, right? But you can just kind of, now I can see all the limitations of being given by that conversation in my life. Because I'm not saying that my relationships weren't great, and really fulfilled on things for me, but I'm just looking at what could, like, I wonder what would be possible if that wasn't there. There's something that's now possible that wasn't possible now that I've, really seen and distinguished that conversation that's been in the background, and now it's in the foreground. And now that I see it, I can't unsee it. So I literally get a choice now about who I'm going to be. Am I going to honor that conversation, or am I going to create a new conversation for myself and honor that? And that's like that right there is the freedom. So that has given me, like, literally, like the person I'm engaged with right now, I've been taking actions that I normally wouldn't have taken. Like, I'm like doing the opposite, wherever I would create distance to be protective or pull myself away, or whatever I say to myself, I can now see it, and I'm not doing that. And I've never been that way before. So I'm excited to see what's possible out of having discovered that.
So am I.
Thank you.
So am I. I am excited to see
Yeah.
that just absolutely filled me with joy.
Yeah.
Casey, you're such an epic human being. And for those of you that are listening to the podcast and you're like, oh, how do I experience some of this? It's a process. It's a journey. It's not a destination. And, I've been engaged in transformational work, if you will, or the introspective work of viewing myself for improvement since 2007. And, there's experiences that I'm having recently in this lockdown that has brought more stuff up for me. And it's the constant examination of what's going on for me internally that transpires externally. Right. So I just love it. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for you and who you are. And for those of you listening, this woman is one of I was going to use the word busy, but she is into a lot. I guess we'll say that. Like you have a lot, you put a lot on your plate.
Yeah.
Absolutely. A
Absolutely.
lot. So, Casey, you recently jumped into a venture in Austin, which I think is very, very powerful. Are you still engaged in that?
I don't know.
Training your entrepreneurial venture in which you're training and developing women.
Oh yeah.
To learn tech skills.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Can you talk about that a little bit? Because I just think I guess I want to end the show on that note, and you as an entrepreneur and what you're up to there.
Yeah. So as an entrepreneur, I'm here to empower people, like really empower people and impact their daily life. And it was about 2 years ago, I left the realm of healthcare, which was my whole life, to create an opportunity to, just expand on everything that I know and making a difference for as many people as possible. So I co-founded a technology company. It's a staffing company, but one of the verticals that we have, and that really got me excited to even leave healthcare, which was comfortable and certain, was we are out to make a difference for particularly women who they're in the net technology field and they left to go raise a family. Okay. And now they want back, but there's a lack of support in getting them back, while there's also, given technology moves so fast, there's a gap in their skills or their knowledge. And so what we do is we provide filling in that gap with a new technology and, training them, coaching them, having their back, and then placing them in jobs that make a difference for them and their family. And I'm telling you, it is the most moving thing to be with these women. And they're so beyond grateful. They can't even believe it. They're like, is this really happening? Like, this is really who y'all are for us. And it's so I'm so proud that me and my partners can say, yes, this is who we are in the world and this is who we are for you, and we're not going anywhere. So that's what I'm up to. And we're out to just inspire the human spirit through technology. If you really want to just get very simple, that's what I'm up to.
So I knew you when you were working in healthcare, and I just I would really love to paint before we end this conversation for today. I have a feeling you're going to be back. Before we end this conversation for today, because as purpose chasers, like, I started this podcast for individuals that were experiencing what I was experiencing back in 2015. And that is a calling but a mind telling them not to take action on the calling.
Yeah.
So when you were working in healthcare, yet you had this opportunity to empower these women, what was the final straw for you to say, no, I'm going to leave this, and I know that you were being like, the compensation was there, like
Yeah.
you were moving up in the ranks, like everything comfortable was there for you
Absolutely.
to step out into here and what you believed you were called to do. What was the final straw for you? And I guess what was the plan of action that you took to step out into the unknown?
Yeah. There was a limiting belief called, I didn't want to take the risk. And when I remember, because I was leading a seminar, and it was in the seminar I discovered, like, yeah, I have risk like it's actually real and exists in the world. Like, really, like it was real for me, like the truth, like a risk. And I was like, I'm not going to do that. And when I got risk for what it was, it really freed me up to look at what was possible. And I would say what had me take go for it was a possibility that was bigger than I knew myself to be, like a game, like a big game. And when I stand there, I'll go for anything. If it means that I get to help more people, I don't like the word help, to make a difference for more people and impact lives, that is a game bigger than I know myself to be, which has me have to expand who I am. And if that's what I want for people, well, then I got to be the very thing that is that. So it was discovering that limiting belief, that one thing called risk that just had me suppressed and paralyzed. And I gave it up. I just gave it up. And then I gave my word to something, and I took actions that were aligned with my word. And that is all I did. And I kept taking actions, and I kept taking actions, and I created how I wanted it to go. And then I took actions around how I wanted it to go. It really was like that. Now, I'm not saying it was easy. It wasn't. But like I said, the possibility was so much bigger than me. And it didn't work. I couldn't tolerate me not going for that.
That was probably the greatest explanation I've had on the podcast to date, and a really, really great place to end. And a lot of individuals in the community right now have actions that they want to take, or they have actions that they want others to take. So a lot of my community are seeking to empower others, but what they're finding is they can't actually transmit it because they haven't done it themselves. And I think so many individuals want to empower the world and want to, produce results out into the world. But my experience, and I know your experience as well, is you can't produce something that you haven't actually created yourself, right? Like it comes off inauthentic. Casey, so grateful for you. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I know we've been discussing this for months and months. Yeah. I would love to do it again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's a wrap on this episode of the Purpose Chasers podcast. If you're ready to take action, don't wait. Head over to thepurposechasers.com to access notes, resources, and a host of other tools to keep you moving forward. And if you want to supercharge your digital presence, visit scaletosaleconsulting.com to partner up with my team and amplify your impact. Let's turn your purpose into your biggest asset. Until next time, keep chasing, keep creating. Your purpose awaits.